Hello and welcome, beloved luminary, to our weekly community empowerment training. I'm Sylvia Becker-Hill, your host, and I'm so delighted to have you showing up here because you here live, and you, beloved luminary on the replay, you matter. We are here a growing community of professional leaders from around the world who are committed to step out of any kind of outdated, unsustainable, unhealthy, hurting us ways of operating, thinking, feeling, or acting, which we call being rooted in the patriarchy, the current cultural paradigm of hierarchical power of a few white men over all the other men and women in the world. So we are here to literally combine our forces and strengths, evolve as leaders, and create a world together that works for everyone. And today I have one of my favorite topics, and we are thanking this here to John, because John, can you quote yourself with your question from last week, or shall I attempt it? Do you remember how you asked it? I changed the title slightly, but you were so authentic. Can you quote yourself?
I think it was, how do we get along with the jerks in our lives?
Perfect. That was John's question. And I turned it a bit more publicly, culturally acceptable into the title, How to Love the Unlovable, which is just different words for the same question, because I wasn't sure if globally the term jerks would be understood and might push some people away. So it's all about love today. And I get goosebumps just saying the word. And before we dive in, as always, let's make sure we are listening here and communicating with each other from a place of alignment. And that means, oops, someone is sharing their screen. How can I stop this? Okay. Hello. We are back. Good. So I hope that was not a hacker. Normally, this shouldn't be possible. Okay, the screen has stopped. So before we go into the content, as always, we take a moment to create alignment. One of my mentors, he liked so beautifully to say, we have no time to lose. So let's go slowly. So please put your feet, if they are not yet on the floor, around hip width apart, and ground yourself. If you like, you can close your eyes and really allow yourself this pleasurable moment of sensing how the floor, the ground, the earth is carrying you. Feel how your feet are touching the ground and the floor, the earth, wherever you are. Sense, you probably are sitting on a chair or sofa or bed, and sense how gravity is literally your friend and holds you, your whole body, your whole weight on that chair, sofa, bed, wherever you are sitting on. Take a few deep breaths, and whatever busy day you already have behind yourself, allow yourself to arrive in your beautiful body, because any kind of learning which doesn't include the body is sadly doomed to be short-lived and doesn't lead to a power of embodiment where your new learning becomes a natural part of yourself. We need the body, even though we are meeting here on Zoom in the virtual world. It's our body, our vessel for our soul, spirit, and mind, which ultimately carries everything with you and for you, what you are learning and taking away from today. Take a few deep breaths, roll your shoulders up and down, open your eyes, and let's raise our energy with our famous 3-step process. We clap 3 times our hands. 1, 2, 3. We shake out our hands 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And now we raise our arms and like wave to the sky 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And hopefully you are now present, aligned in the here and now, and feel a bit of more energy, because some of you have already a busy long day behind you. So today it's all about how to love the unlovable. And I designed late last night a new handout for all of you. If you don't have it right now, don't worry. I put the link again in the chat box, but from now on also in the emails, you will get a link. I want us to test it today if it serves you. It's literally one piece of paper with boxes. Why are there boxes? Even though I'm always teaching you to think outside the box, these boxes are so-called frames, containers, and by being every week more or less the same, today at the end I will ask you, after the recording has stopped, for a bit of feedback, how well it worked or not, so I can adjust it. These frames and boxes, always creating the same pattern, will help you literally to create a learning map inside your own brain. So when we meet week after week after week, whatever we are talking about, the content will always be different, but the different frames, structures, and boxes where you can put in your insights, the content I'm giving you will stay the same. It only maybe gets edited regarding us making it better. So please use, if you got it already and printed, use it today, and after our official time here together, tell me if it's working or if one box is too small or if I should change it. Obviously, if you want to write more, you turn it around and use more space. My goal literally is to ensure the sustainability of your learning. Ideally, you come as often as you can live, or you watch the replay on YouTube, and you use every time you watch one of these videos or are here live, one of these handouts, and then you hole punch it in the system wherever you are living, and maybe buy yourself a beautiful binder and capture all the lessons. And in a year from now, you will have your own amazing community empowerment training leadership manual with all your captured insights, so that you can go back and remember what you have learned and shared here with all of us. So today is the inaugural meeting where we test our community empowerment training one sheet. Why one sheet? Because I don't want to overwhelm you, and I thought it's space and enough information for one meeting. So today the topic, the title would be How to Love the Unlovable. And before I go into my philosophy and give you tips, I want to create here a bit of communal understanding. What are the paradigms and the definitions of love where you are coming from? You all have ancestry, family, country, culture, religion. Please write in the chat box, simple, spontaneously, doesn't need to be perfect. What's your definition of love? What is love for you? Is it a feeling? Is it a philosophy? Is it an attitude? Is it action? Please type into the chat box, how do you define love? And Anne-Marie sadly can't be here today, so I will read out what you are sharing here. And if one of you could be, just for today, stepping into Anne-Marie's shoes, this would be lovely for later when I'm going into Marilena. Awesome. So when I go later into the teaching and become super fast and passionate, you check a bit the chat box so that I don't miss any questions, please. So for now, please type into the chat box, what is your definition of love? And again, doesn't need to be perfect or official. A feeling of joy, of mattering, John says. How beautiful. Yes, feeling of joy, of mattering. I can share that experience. Yes, I can relate to that. Who else? Linda says it's a feeling of acceptance and joy. Yes, acceptance. A lot of people say that love and acceptance are very much intertwined. Yes, what else? What is love for you? Is it a feeling, an attitude, an action, a philosophy, a context? Love is an action, says Sheila here from Rome, Italy. Yay. Love is a feeling that comes from the bottom of the heart and makes you accept the person or the things as it is. Yes, yes. Love is a feeling, but it's also shown by action. Yes. Yes, wonderful, Adeline. I hope to see you later again. Yeah. So I agree with all of what you are saying here about love. So if we all sort of seem to know what love is, then why is it so hard to love everyone and everything? Why are there even unlovables, or to quote John, jerks, where getting along with and loving them is so hard? Why is that? What do you think? Where is the gap or the difficulty or the discrepancy coming from? That, I mean, if love is joy and acceptance, I mean, who doesn't want to be in love all the time with everything and everyone, right? Isn't that a state we all want to be in? Why is it so difficult? Love is also trust and vulnerability, and some people are closed off. Yeah, some people are closed off. So when they are closed off, it makes it hard for them to receive love. And yet we could say, well, that's their problem. They are closed off, but as long I'm open, I can still love, 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 love. So what makes it for us so hard that we are not in love constantly with everyone and everything? John says, the contrast, make wrong, not listening. Ooh, okay. So the making wrong, here it gets interesting. Who is making whom wrong, John? And you can also unmute yourself. We are a small group. You can also talk. Who is making whom wrong?
Well, it's interesting if you have people who are in love and they have their different points of view, or they have their different ways of growing up, or they have a contrast in personality, or when you do X, I do Y, or I feel this way. So you could be in love, but they may have a different love strategy. They could be doing something for themselves that I feel love when someone does this for me. Therefore, I'm going to show love to you in this matter, but it's not the way you feel love. So there's a lot of disconnects when you're talking about how could someone not feel loved.
Okay, so you're talking about the famous different love languages and the different ways how people express love or receive love, and there could be literally like languages not meeting each other. Yeah, this is one difficulty. What else? Why is it so hard for us to not always be in love with everyone and everything? Marilena, yes.
I think love is precious. And I agree with, I think it was Sheila, that she was saying that it's a matter of trust. And so when you build up trust, you feel more inclined and safer to love than when there is someone that you consider unlovable or untrustworthy, or, you know, and because it's so precious, I think that's the reason why you can't love everybody, because you don't accept everybody as they are. Also, because what John was saying, no, we encounter each other in different manners, and we offer different things, and we seek different things.
Yeah.
And so it's basically impossible to love everyone.
You said so many important and big things, and I want you all to really listen. And as always, whatever anyone here says, for me, this is the truth in the moment of that person. One second, Sheila, I see your hand. I want you all to be very careful here today, because we are sharing different beliefs and paradigms and stories we personally have developed over a lifetime about love. And I want you to listen as if everyone's interpretation, story, paradigm of love is true for them. That doesn't mean you have to have the right one, or that anyone here is right or wrong. This is not what we are about here in our community. Everyone's example is intended so that you become aware about your own story, belief, and paradigms of what love is. For example, the sentence, the belief, love is precious. Check in with you. Is that true for you or not? And it's not about a truth written into stone, which, you know, is true throughout the universe for all aliens and us. I want you, and this is why the body is so important, even here when we meet on Zoom, check in with your body. Do you believe that love is precious? And then the next belief, does that mean, and Marilyn, I'm just using you here as an example, if that belief resonates true for you, does that truly resonance as true also, that then you can't love everyone, is that makes the preciousness of love, it's impossible to love everyone. Again, I'm not saying if this is true or not true in a written in the universe or big rock stone. It's about you sensing, what do you believe, what resonates in your body, because that is one of my truths as your mentor and teacher. I believe we create everything, all our experiences, through the filters of our beliefs and paradigms. So whatever you believe about what love is, that determines what you will experience. Sheila, my love, what do you want to say?
Well, I just had, another definition for love, but this is more on the romantic love. And it's a definition that was given by a friend of mine with Annie Lala, which I really loved. And it was that love is like opening your heart to another person and having, even if the other person in front of you has daggers. So it's just that vulnerability and trust that they won't, what have you.
Yeah.
So
thank you. It's very beautiful. So obviously today here, having around an hour with each other, I could meet for weeks with you just about the topic of love. It's complex. And today I will focus on, because this is a bit here my branding of the whole Juicy Life Leader TV channel, to hopefully show you one or two what I call patriarchal blind spots, paradigms and boxes and limitations about love, which we all, by socialization, how we grew up, have subconsciously bought into. We were trained to believe. And it's my commitment here in my mission of the Juicy Life Leader Academy to point out, this is, I feel called to be one of the many globally dismantlers of the patriarchy, to show you where potentially you are trained to believe something about love, which is not serving your goal to love the unlovables. And at the end here, after our time together, obviously it's up to you how much of what I'm sharing with you as distinctions and potentially different beliefs or stories, how much you take this on and implement and try it out and choose to make it your own. This is always up to you. So I'm giving you here today a buffet, a first small buffet of distinctions and hopefully interesting insights. And then it's up to you if you integrate and add them to your paradigm. And for those of you who are not sure what a paradigm is, I define a paradigm as the summary of your beliefs, emotions, stories, and habits, how you do something. To make it a very simple example here, we have here several people from Italy. The paradigm of food and of eating, of cooking, of coming together around food in Italy is very different from the American one or the German one where I grew up, or whatever other countries we have here gathered today. So food and eating and the whole concept of either nutrition or socializing, I mean, food in many countries is so different. It can be a holy act, it can be a family ritual, it can be a practical nourishment for your body. These are already different paradigms. I just mentioned in the last seconds how food shows up. So that's a paradigm. And through my research now, nearly 30 years into change management and human dynamics and 20 years in neuroscience, paradigms are that through which create in our brain our perception filters So they are these filters where the data or things we experience with other people come into us, into our brain. And they are also the projection filters through which what we project into the world goes through. So the paradigms are literally a bit like veils around us, or walls, or grids, where data goes through into us and out of us, from us into the world. And obviously, as filters do, filters filter the data from inside and outside. And so literally, whatever your paradigm is about something, it impacts your experience. So you could say our whole training series here over weeks and months now, to a high degree, is a paradigm shifting experience, where my commitment is to shift the paradigms you have about certain aspects in such a way that you, as a leader, step more fully into your power and are more liberated, more free to choose your paradigms, to design your own paradigms in such a way that they serve your goals and values and dreams. So, ready for today's love paradigm discovery, how the patriarchy maybe has some clause in there? Ready? Can I see some thumbs up? Or you can show with emoticons on the bottom right. There's this beautiful, we have now a button called reactions, and there you can show, for example, here, yay, this is celebration, or a thumbs up, or a heart. So
Sylvia?
Yes.
Tasha just put into the chat a very thoughtful comment about love with a capital L. You may want to read that before moving on.
Okay, I see it. Wonderful. Starting with, I think, Tasha, thank you. I think some people are so lacking in love for themselves that they cannot respect someone who would actually love them and must denigrate them in order to feel empowered. Wow, yes, I agree with that perception. In case they are rejected, which they assume will happen. Yeah, this is sadly a super common pattern in patriarchal societies. The fear of the fear of feeling the rejection empowers, sadly, people, or not empowers, triggers them to say no to love in the first place. So what you don't have, you can't lose. It's a protection mechanism. Love with a capital L, Tash, you're saying, is appreciation that we all are a specific manifestation of all in capital, and that we are fundamentally the same except for life experience and DNA. Oh, how beautiful. I read this again. So you say love with a capital L is appreciating that we all are a specific manifestation of all, capital, and that we are fundamentally the same except for life experience and DNA. Oh, how beautiful. And here, everyone listening, this goes into spirituality. It has to do with your paradigm, literally about what you believe we humans are, what your spiritual paradigm is you are living in, and how love shows up in connection with these paradigms of spirituality, your answer of what it means to be human. This is all interconnected here. Thank you, this beautiful comment here. It's compassion. Yes, love with a big, it's compassion. Little L love is the love of family, your mate, your children. This love is a function of what you identify as what you deserve. Ooh, interesting. Interesting. You attract the love that is warranted by the energies you give off. So you attract the love that is warranted by the energies you give off is different phrasing, different words. What I tried to say when I said we are projecting out into the world through the filters of the paradigm, our stories, beliefs, and paradigms, etc. And that gets then in a feedback loop answered. So these are same concept, different phrasing. Can you unmute yourself and tell us a tiny bit more what you mean with the little L love is the function of what you identify as and what you deserve? Are you in a place where you can talk, or are you in a public place where this is not possible, Tasha? Sometimes people chime in here and can't join live because it's crowded or loud in the background. Then, my dear, yeah, here you are. Awesome, Tasha. I can see you unmuted yourself. We can't hear you yet, but you unmuted yourself.
Okay, is this better?
Yes, now we can hear you, my dear. Yes.
Okay. As far as little L love is concerned, basically, when you're talking about loving specifically people who are really close to you, not just in general, then it's really your vulnerabilities come out even more because you are in an even more vulnerable place. You need them to love you because they're your parents or your children. They're the one you selected to, you know, share a portion of your life with. And so if you don't feel like you deserve that, you know, and that's kind of what I was saying before about but it's like, if you don't feel like you deserve that, then, you know, you will be expressing that in the way you relate to them. They pick up on that and they will give you what it is that you are asking of them by the way you are communicating with them and the way you are interacting with them. They're simply giving you what you want, because with that closeness and everything, and with the fact that we all come together for a reason, you know, we choose how we are going to, we choose the situation we come into, you know, because of what we need to learn.
Yes.
And so the people who are around us, who are closest to us, we are teaching them things they need to know, and they're teaching us things we need to know. And whatever we have picked up that still might be left over from things that we've already experienced, maybe in a past life or in the one you're in, we're communicating this to them, and they are going to help us move through that, you know, to a higher place, if we are accepting of the fact that all things must change, and that we are and that we are growing.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Tasha, for your contribution. What Tasha here is referring to and explaining so beautifully is what I call the love dynamics, or the human dynamics of love, especially in closer, intimate circles like family or team. So thank you, Tasha. Please mute yourself again. There's some background music.
Oh, sure.
Thank you, my dear. So today I will not go more into that topic of love dynamics, because I want to, this is just more aligned with the intention here of the overall TV channel. I stay a bit more in the bigger picture of the paradigm, and want to empower you by understanding what the patriarchy contributes to your paradigm. So yeah, the answer is love. Yeah, I see you. So everyone who's live here, you have to enjoy the chat box. This is for those who are watching the replay on YouTube. That's the advantage when you're joining us live here. You have some fun behind the scenes in the chat box, which we will not share with the public on YouTube. So let me take a deep breath here and go back. So when we talk about love and try to find answers how to love the unlovable, there are obviously a lot of entrances how we can talk about this topic. In my understanding, there is an evolution of love we all go through in our individual life. There is a different love when we are hormonally aroused and when we are lust driven, and we call that love. That is love, and it's a certain form of love. It's another form of love when we say, oh, I'm a cat lover. I have a cat I adore and love. And yet that love to the cat is completely different than, for example, when I say I'm a mother, I have 2 teenage boys, I love my children. And that love, again, is different from the love when I say I love my husband, my soulmate, my partner. That's a different love when I say I love my clients, or I love my business, I love being an artist, or I love being alive. So we use the word love throughout the day, depending a bit on your personality, little or even often. And for me, these are different kinds of love. So what I want to focus on today in the training part of our meeting is on the helicopter perspective, on the big topic of love and the overall big paradigm the society, the patriarchy has taught us. Because my focus, my intention regarding you is always empowerment. So how can you step more into your power and your freedom? And the blind spot I see, and I hope you're starting to use our handout, because I'm always going through the same structure, that we have a topic, and then I want you to become aware of what does it cost us that we are not just like this able to love everything and everyone all the time. That we all, to different degrees, have some love issues. What are the cost of that? What is the cost of if you are working in a company and there are some team members or people in a different department, or a client you find is a jerk, like John would say, and you struggle to love them? What is the cost of that? What does it cost in our everyday life if you maybe, spend your last savings to buy your dream home, and then you discover there's a neighbor and you have one of those horrible over the fence, or there is no fence, but still neighbor conflicts, and you can't love your neighbor. I mean, there are consequences, very practical and emotional and financially, when we are unable to love the unlovables. And here in the United States, gosh, the recent years, politics, the party system, make a Democrat love a Republican, or try to make a Republican love a Democrat. That's a lifelong job of change management right there. So there are costs. So think about that, feel about them, and write them down. Why is it too important to understand the cost of any kind of problem? It's a motivational effect, because we humans, our brain is wired to seek pleasure and avoid pain. So and this is now Change Management 101, which I always give in a few side sentences in all my trainings here to you. If you lack motivation to change something or learn something or do something in your life, sit down and write down the cost of not changing it. What does any issue, problem, struggle in your life cost you? Write that down and connect physically with your body senses, with your emotions, connect with these costs, because our brain generates a ton of energy and motivation to get us away from pain. So whatever you're pursuing in your life, if you lack motivation, this is a good self-coaching tip, very practical. It's not my favorite. I don't like to be motivated by pain, or as a coach, motivate others by pain. It's just that the brain has a negativity bias. And sadly, I find it really sad, through history and evolution, our brain sadly is often more motivated to get away from pain than it is motivated to come closer to the vision. And yes, positive psychology, I'm a coach, positive thinking and vision boards and vision work. I do it all. I always try my clients and myself to motivate us by a positive, glorious, attractive vision on the horizon, right? The sexy husband I want to get, or whatever, or the new job, or the bigger car. And yet, sadly, in the long run, the brain, because of its negativity bias, getting away from pain will motivate literally your amygdala in your brain and the protein chains to rush through your body to activate your organs and your muscles to get into action, sadly more. This is why it's important to be aware. What does it cost me in my life that I'm not able, and I'm making a generalization for all of us, please forgive me, that we are not loving the unlovables all the time? What does it cost us? So what I see, and I'm going here now deliberately a bit through the handout, because I want to use it also to rein in my ever-vision creativity and my beautiful abundance of knowledge in my brain, so that I stay focused on the topic. What I see as a brutal lie, I label it a lie, of the patriarchy when it comes to love is the following. Drum rolls, please. And that is a root how the patriarchy, even though it's hurting everyone, it's not sustainable, is staying in power now for over 7,000 years, but not much longer. The patriarchy, one of the core roots, is to disconnect us from our own power. And when it comes to love, the patriarchy has created a story, a methodology about love, which makes it sound like and seem like as if love is something outside of us. Listen to most of our languages. We fall into love or we fall out of love. We find love or we lose love. So our languaging suggests that love is not already there. It's not something inside of us. It's not something we have the power to create and radiate or choose every moment of our life. The patriarchy gives this suggestion and this really strong paradigm. It's about being in the right time, in the right moment in time, at the right place, meeting the right person, and with lots of luck and miracle magic, you might fall in love. And then you have to protect what you fall into with walls and cut it off from other people and strangle it and suffocate the other person, make sure that the other person doesn't change, your relationship doesn't change, because if the other person change or you change or the relationship change, then you might fall out of love and then you lose it and you're screwed. I mean, hello, duh, watch soap operas, read love novels. Listen to your friends whining about their love life. This is the story the patriarchy tells us about love. It's a bit like, I find it quite disgusting, the whole paradigm, because for me it sounds like a cold. You know, if I'm in the wrong place and on a windy day, I might catch a cold. Yeah, the cold falls from the sky and I'm sneezing and I can't breathe. And then I'm suffocating with my upper respiratory system. I mean, nowadays I could use the metaphor of COVID, but I don't go there because it's just too horrifying. But seriously, the patriarchy wants us to believe that love is this kind of, I mean, you know, Eros, the little fat naked angel with the arrow, who is, you know, shooting the arrows. And if you are lucky that you are standing in the way and an arrow catches you, so you're lucky, arrows hit you and you are now fallen in love because of a naked fat little angel sending you an arrow into your heart. I mean, how ridiculous are these stories and images the patriarchy is telling us about love? I want this to really sink in. Who of you, independent, now this is a bit of a challenge, independent what you consciously think about love, can you see that the culture you grew up in and highly informed your subconscious mind, connected with the collectiveness of your environment, can you see that this, what I just shared, is a standard paradigm of love in the patriarchy? Can I see some hands or thumbs ups through the emoticons? I need to know if you are following along or if I'm talking over your head. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, because that's important. I don't want to talk over your head. I need to know there is alignment with what I'm. It's a bit like I'm lifting the veil away from your eyes about something which is seemingly so normal. And hey, I'm a bit embarrassed, but I'm saying it anyway. I'm addicted to read trashy love novels when I really want to relax. I use them. I love them. I have a whole library, and I'm giving them always away at little public spaces here where I live at Panera Bread, etc. They always have these shelves with public libraries, and once a month I carry my pile of love novels there. They're completely patriarchal. They are awful. They're full of neurotic people who repeat the pattern I just shared with you. And I still love reading them because I grew up like that. I had a mother, she's still alive. I have a mother who told me when I was young 1,000 times, and please don't judge my mom when I quote her now, because she said it with love. She told me, honey, the most important job of every woman is to find the right husband by the age of 25. And that was important, the deadline. Yeah, I mean, seriously, the deadline 25 was really important, because over 25, you are starting to, decline in your beauty, and then you are in danger not to find the right one. Yeah, so there are two important things: the right husband. The word "right" was always emphasized by her, and by 25. You have no idea under how much pressure and stress I was when I turned 30 and I was still not married. Seriously, even though I was consciously fighting against this sentence, this belief from my mom, literally since I was a teenager. I think since I was 12, I was fighting against that demand from my mom to be, that this is my number one job as a woman, blah, blah, blah. Consciously, I was fighting it, but subconsciously, I sure believed it. And it was a horrendous stress, but that's for another call, the story. Yes, Marilena.
Sylvia, we have Liz who wrote a comment, and I think she also raised her hand, and then Linda who would like to comment, please.
Okay, so Liz, you first. Say something. Where are you, my dear? Here, there's you.
I was just saying that's typical patriarchy, where everything is a resource and you have to compete for it. So love is seen as a resource you have to compete for.
Brilliant. Thank you, Liz. That is added to what I said. Perfect. It's part of the paradigm. The belief is love is not limitless. Love is a defined, scarce resource, and you have to compete over it, which fits my mother's paradigm, because obviously wherever I went, before I went out, she made sure I was dressed the nicest, because I had to be the most nicest dressed woman in every room I entered in order to compete for the attention of all the men in the room, so that the right husband material would see me. You're completely right, Liz. And that is the scarcity is another big root, which we address again and again here in our series. Scarcity for everything is one of the key things why the patriarchy is so amazingly powerful, triggering that fear in us. Exactly. Thank you, Liz. And who was the other person, Marilena? Linda, yes, go ahead.
And it is so ingrained, the world believes it. My mother never said that to me, because even when back in the 50s, when she got married, she didn't get married till 32, but I didn't get married till I was 38. And I remember going through deep depressions that I had done something wrong, or why wasn't I lovable, or, so it's all around you that there's this pressure that you're nobody if you haven't found a husband.
Yeah, yes. I'm so appreciate you sharing that, and I get goosebumps because what you said, it's so around us. Patriarchal stories and paradigms are the water we, the fish, swim in. It feels so normal. And we all, men and women, we suffer from within that water. All our neurotics and psychodynamics, and what Tasha was mentioning also in family, stem from that paradigm. And then, including myself, when we want to relax or enjoy a nice evening, then we watch TV with soap operas. I remember last year at the start of the pandemic, I found a gorgeous, romantic, but highly neurotic love. What's the Mexican name? Varela, I forgot the name, but it was 64 episodes.
Wow.
64 episodes of shifting love relationships, with where the wrong people at the wrong time were single or got married. And I mean, it was ridiculous. And 64 episodes, my brain being such addicted to fulfill patterns and, good story and script writing with the cliffhangers, I hated the show because for me, it was like a drug. I knew it was bad for me, but I couldn't stop watching it because I wanted to know if the most beautiful girl got the hot guy in the end or not. Yeah? And thanks God they did. Otherwise, I think I would have murdered the producer of this whole series. I mean, seriously, 64 episodes to just get to the end. I knew by episode 1 that was where it was heading to. Anyway, so let me take a deep breath. So now we know what the lie is. The lie is that love is finite. Liz pointed to that. The lie is that love is something outside of us. The lie is that love is outside our control, and we need luck to be in the right place at the right time with the right person to fall into it. All this, when these are the lies, or when these are the things the patriarchy tells us to keep us disempowered, it's all pointing to the empowering paradigm. And it's not always exactly the opposite. Yeah, when there's a lie, the truth is not necessarily the opposite. Sometimes a lie can be as the truth the same, but in a different context. If I give you, and I don't have one right now here, if I gave you a magic wand right now, and you could design the most empowering love paradigm for yourself, what would you say love is? And I would love to hear 1 or 2 voices. You can type it. If you can't chime in live, type it into the chat box. And if you would like to share it, what would be, and you don't need to fully yet believe it, it's in a creative moment. If you could draw the new story, the new paradigm about love that is empowering and not the same as the old patriarchal lie, how would it sound? What is your new story, your new paradigm? What if? Yes, love is all around. And as Celia says, the answer is love. Love is all around. Isn't that a song from the 70s? Love is all around. Somehow that rings a vague melody, which, by the way, oh gosh, music, careful. Most pop culture songs about love are screwing us up so much. One of the most famous one, and I'm apologizing if I'm sounding now really horrible in your ears, but it's a song which is really, I think, dangerous because it sounds like this. Love hurts, love hurts, love hurts. I mean, seriously, this is one of the most famous songs. I forgot who wrote it and sang it, and I apologize. I think the guy is already dead, but maybe that's good because otherwise I would have needed to slap him. Because music goes into our subconscious mind because of the melody. So messages, pop culture, singing about music. I don't have the statistics, but my feeling is that every second pop song speaks about neurotic love lives. And that is so dangerous because when you drive around and listen to these songs like love hurts, what do? We believe love hurts. And then we experience through the filter love hurts, all experiences with other people that love hurts. And what do we project into the world through our filters, through our paradigm? Love hurts. Wow, screw that one. So what if, I'm inviting you now, and then we do a beautiful exercise before we leave here today where you can experience that. What if love never hurts? what if that which hurts is something different? And we don't go there today, but just that what hurts is not love. What hurts, people sometimes sadly label love, but to make it very simple, most of the time when it comes to human dynamics, it's a different topic, but just that you have this nugget, what hurts is the resistance to what's happening in the moment. When someone goes through a breakup or a divorce, it's not the love that hurts. It's the resistance against something happening. It could be the divorce, the loss of the love relationship, the loss of material, whatever. What hurts is never the love. And if you know the songwriter, and if he's still alive, give him a kick from me. Love never hurts. So what if, I say it as a truth, but it's just an offering and you need to check it in your own system, in your own body, if you want to choose to take it on. In my world, love never hurts. Love is not outside of me. Love is all around us. Love is there. Love is, and this is a hard thing for me to really formulate, because it goes into a spiritual realm where words are insufficient. Is that an English word, when words don't fully capture what you try to communicate? For me, love is a bit like life or the quantum field. Love for me personally is something non-fully intellectually understandable for us humans, and it's there. It's everywhere, and it's up to us to align with it, and it's up to us to train here. Who said it to be? I think it was you, Sheila, who quoted your friend, opening your heart even to those people who throw arrows. For me, this is a metaphor for aligning yourself, stepping into the love which is there. So for me, it's a universal power, a bit like gravity or that life-giving force in the universe, or God, depending what religious background you have, what makes a seed pop open and grow with water and sunshine into a big tree. Love is that kind of universal thing. And it's not outside our control, it just is. And it's under our control. And now it comes, John, a long-winded answer to your innocent question. How can I deal with the jerks? How can we love the unlovable? For me, personally, it's a matter of training, of literally brain training to overcome my own fears of getting hurt, my own fears of rejection, my own old beliefs, stories, paradigms, and lies, which keep me from the experience of the love which is already there all the time. I'm 54, and I remember quite clearly the moment when something literally in my brain, my system, my heart switched. It was around my 30th birthday, after years of intense research about this whole gender dynamic, man, woman, love, etc. My point is, it is possible to get there. And I hope through my mentoring and training, I can cut the time and the effort it takes for you to get there shorter, because I experience daily, not all the time, not in every second, not especially not when I watch the news, and especially last year, oh my gosh, yeah, American politics is my biggest challenge to stay in love. So I can't say, I'm not enlightened. I don't experience being in love every breath, every moment with everyone. And yet I can absolutely claim that several times every day I experience, to be in love, to be in the experience and the conscious awareness of being in love with whatever happens or who is with me or whatever. And the experience is, and these are not my words, I don't say that these are the universal truths. I give them to you as a starting point for your own research and for your own step-by-step process to get into embodiment. Because ultimately for me, no learning is finished as long as it's not embodied. So for me, I try now to put some words into the undescribable. When I'm in a state, when I'm aligned with the love which is there, even in a horrendous situation, I choose now, for me this was, it sounds weird, but it was a absolute spiritual highlight of my life. A day after my father died and I was with my mother and her heartbreaking grief back in Germany, I remember a moment of being in that field of love. And the embodied sensation in me is a feeling of utter peace, the complete evaporation of any form of resistance against what is. In that moment, it was no resistance against that my father just died, the way he died, no resistance against the horrendous pain of my mother's grief and her advanced dementia, the situation I was literally sitting on, living for a few days to help my mom. I was living on the deathbed of my father after obviously his corpse was taken away and the bed was cleaned and remade. But I had to live on that bed because my mother, with her dementia and her grief, I could not leave her more than 3 minutes alone without her completely freaking out. So I lived for 10 days in that room on the bed because she was living on the sofa beside it. She didn't want to leave the bed because every time she opened her eyes and she wouldn't see my father, she completely went berserk. And yes, we gave her some medication, but I didn't want to, subdue my mother completely. I didn't allow that because I knew it's important for her to also move through this. So literally, for me, this was probably the most horrendous, horrible situation in my life. And yet you can be in love and it feels at peace, no resistance, and an expansiveness from inside your own body where your consciousness, yes, I knew this is my body and my body ends here, but it is still an expansiveness. And again, these are words where they fail to fully describe it, where I sensed an expansiveness of myself to such a degree, which includes everything and everyone else, which other people might call oneness or unity, etc. So I truly believe that the answer to how to love the unlovables starts when we are able to drop all judgment. Someone here said it in the chat box half an hour ago about we judge others. Yeah, we judge, and here, the last year, and this is something which made me the most angry, or not just the last year, the last 4 or 5 years, since 2016, which made me the most angry about Trump was that he triggered the judgmental ego part in my brain. Oh my gosh, I'm a person who I really work hard on not being judgmental, but this man, I could not watch any news. I became so judgmental that I said really mean things, even about his voice or his body, which is really completely below my ethical threshold of choice, who I want to be. And that made me project even more anger and judgment onto him because he triggered me into a kind of beingness I didn't want to be consciously. And so he was a phenomenal training person. And I still sometimes use him now in my kind of inner training meditation, because this is always a proof. Your growth in your strengths as a leader to love obviously gets ultimately tested by those kind of people. Like John would call them the jerks, or I would call them the Trumps in the world. There's potentially always someone in your life which is the ultimate test. Hey, can you love me, the unlovable, as well? Well, I'm not yet enlightened. I am not yet able to say that I love Trump. And yet I know the path to get me to that point. And we are going now, we go a bit over the full hour. If you need to leave, just remember when you watch the rest on the replay, because we are doing here now at around 10 minutes exercise, which is not designed by me. It's something you can also find on the internet. We are going to do an exercise which in my research is grounded in Buddhist meditation philosophy from the so-called compassion or metta or kindness meditation. But I found like a westernized secular version, which is a process where I will guide you through to love unconditionally 3 people. We start with someone here you can look at with open eyes to make it easy. Then we go into the second round with someone where you close your eyes and you think of someone in your life which is easy for you to love. And then in the third round, we go and do it with someone who is in your life who is difficult to love. So we go through it 3 times. And then I also will share with you where to find it online, because this is one of the most beautiful exercises I have found, which literally help you to rewire your brain and let go of the other patriarchal lie, which says that we are separated from each other. And I think it was you, Tasha, who you already pointed so beautifully to the all oneness, to that we are all beside our DNA and experiences, that we are all the same. So the exercise we are going through right now will give you that kind of experience. So let me just take a sip of water here. Okay, so you just sit comfortably. You don't need to write anything, because I will tell you later the source where you get it in writing online, and I guide you through it. So the first time we go through the exercise, you can look into the camera. So we do it once with open eyes just to get into the steps, and you just follow along. You don't need to write anything, or you can speak out loud if you want to, but you don't have to. So choose a person here on the screen and look towards them on the screen. With attention on the person, repeat to yourself, just like me, this person is seeking some happiness for her life. I repeat, with attention on the person you see here on the screen, think for yourself, just like me, this person is seeking some happiness for her life. Stay with your attention on the same person and say to yourself, just like me, this person is trying to avoid suffering in her life. I repeat, just like me, this person is trying to avoid suffering in her life. Stay with your attention on the same person and repeat to yourself, just like me, this person has known sadness, loneliness, and despair. I repeat, just like me, this person has known sadness, loneliness, and despair. With attention on the person, repeat to yourself, just like me, this person is seeking to fulfill her needs. I repeat, just like me, this person is seeking to fulfill her needs. Last step, with the attention on the same person, repeat to yourself, just like me, this person is learning from life. Just like me, this person is learning about life. Feel how that whole exercise of 5 steps make you feel. Take a deep breath. And now close your eyes. Close your eyes and choose a person in your life which is relatively easy for you to love, to cherish, to project positive energies and emotions onto. And with your attention on that person, please show by a raise of hand that I just know that you all chose a person. You all have one. Just quickly raise your hand that I know you're ready. One day, perfect. So we go through the 5 steps and you hold that person with your eyes closed in your attention beam. With attention on the person, repeat to yourself, just like me, this person is seeking some happiness for his or her life. I repeat, just like me, this person is seeking some happiness for his or her life. With attention on the same person, repeat to yourself, just like me, this person is trying to avoid suffering in his or her life. I repeat, just like me, this person is trying to avoid suffering in his or her life. With attention on the same person, repeat to yourself, just like me, this person has known sadness, loneliness, and despair. Just like me, this person has known sadness, loneliness, and despair. With attention on the same person, repeat to yourself, just like me, this person is seeking to fulfill his or her needs. I repeat, just like me, this person is seeking to fulfill his or her needs. With the attention on the same person, repeat to yourself, just like me, this person is learning about life. I repeat, just like me, this person is learning about life. Feel how that exercise, focusing on this person, going through the 5 steps, make you feel. Take a few deep breaths. And now switch your attention to a person in your life, or it doesn't need to be someone you know personally. It can be also a so-called VIP person, someone on the media. Just choose a person, even historically, which you would consider more difficult. Maybe you don't choose yet for training purposes the most difficult one, but choose a person more difficult to love than the previous one. And raise your hand so I know you have chosen a person. Okay, Wanda, you have one too? Okay. So with your attention on that 3rd person, please repeat to yourself, just like me, this person is seeking some happiness for his or her life. I repeat, just like me, this person is seeking some happiness for his or her life. With attention on the same person, repeat to yourself, just like me, this person is trying to avoid suffering in his or her life. Just like me, this person is trying to avoid suffering in his or her life. With attention on the same person, repeat to yourself, just like me, this person has known sadness, loneliness, and despair. Just like me, this person has known sadness, loneliness, and despair. With attention on the same person, repeat to yourself, just like me, this person is seeking to fulfill his or her needs. Just like me, this person is seeking to fulfill his or her needs. Last step, with attention on the same person, repeat to yourself, just like me, this person is learning about life. I repeat, just like me, this person is learning about life. Take a few deep breaths and become aware how you're feeling now, how these 5 steps of projecting your attention on people in your life, becoming aware how much just like you they are operating, how that makes you feel. Another 2, 3, 4 breaths. Roll your shoulders, open your eyes, come back here. Some people don't like to talk after this kind of exercise, so I don't expect you to talk. If there is a question or if someone of you would like to share, this would be lovely, but I don't expect it because I know sometimes it's just nice to stay in the space you're in. Does anyone have a question or want to share? Then just raise your hand. Yes, Wanda, my dear. Unmute yourself. Yes, no, unmute yourself. We can't hear you yet.
There, got
Yeah,
it.
no.
I was just looking for it. My next door neighbor has driven me crazy. He stole some of my property, put a little fence, and he's just driving me crazy. And I hate him. I hate him. Like it's just, I can't stand looking at him. And he's always projecting things on me that he's doing, you know? So I needed to use him to see. And I noticed that at the end of that, when I used him, I got to almost a neutral point. I mean, I don't even care what he does, but I just thought, so, you know, he's churchy, he's church oriented, and yet in his life, I don't feel he's church oriented. It's just a place. And I just got in a little bit of a neutral. So maybe not everything, but towards neutral.
Beautiful. Congratulations. So my invitation is I will tell you where you can get these steps. You literally Google. This is what I did this morning. I learned this exercise in my 20s from the author of it. The author is Harry Palmer. And it's an exercise from a book called Resurfacing, but you find now a ton of images to just download and print it, what I did this morning, when you Google compassion exercise. Just Google compassion exercise. And then there show up different designed, infographics with different colors of these 5 steps. And they are originated from Harry Palmer and the book Resurfacing. But you find them quickly, and I'm allowed to use it everywhere. It's what's it called, like a common, it's copyrighted by him, but giving freely to the world. So
a public good.
A public goods, yeah. So there are still, it says copyrighted. I think his company is Starset International, but he wants the world to use these exercise. So 1 second, Liz, I see your hand. Thank you. So Wanda, I invite you to work on your neighbor inside yourself, because as more you come to neutral, as obviously more easy it will be for you to communicate and be with him, which reduces, remember here in our handout, the cost. Because living in conflict with the neighbor where you live, this costs you, Wanda.
Oh.
Yeah, this costs you peace of mind. This costs you the joy of driving into your driveway. It costs you the peace being in the garden because the neighbor might see you. And I mean, it costs you a lot. So working on becoming able to love that unlovable neighbor serves you. And just as a note to everyone, being able to love someone, and I'm honest about it, I'm working on Trump. I want to be able to love Trump not because of anything related to him, because for my own sake, for my peace of mind, for my sanity, for my health, for me being able to watch the news and not turning into a judgmental monster I don't want to be. So, and loving the unlovables doesn't mean we agree with what they do or what they stand for. It doesn't mean if you work on someone who is a murderer, who is a criminal, it doesn't mean that you excuse what that person did. And yet, dealing with these people, criminals or difficult neighbors or politicians, we are more empowered to deal with them, to communicate with them when we are getting our judgments and hatred and all these resistances down to zero. So Wanda, great job today. I'm so happy that you shared that with us. And please be so kind and mute yourself again. There's a bit of background static.
Sorry.
No worries. Liz, my dear, you had the hand up.
Yeah, I think mine, it's a different topic for a different time, but it's like you were saying about not agreeing with what they do. And this is the problem I have. I naturally fall into the compassion side of things, where I do think that about everybody. And I've gotten to the point in my life now where I have to put some boundaries around. And so it's that balance for me between not thinking of love as a resource that's limited, but at the same time creating those boundaries so that they can't physically hurt me or physically take advantage of that. Because some things are limited. I mean, you may have limiting beliefs around money and stuff, and maybe that's something I need to deal with, but we do have limited resources money-wise. Or so when that starts getting taken away from, because you have, or because you've been misunderstood, when you give your love, it's misunderstood and it's taken advantage of. How do you create those boundaries without taking away your love? Because that's what I'm dealing with right now.
Yeah. And you're right, there are lots of things which might be a good inspiration for our next week's training, because I always love to generate literally our trainings here, a bit of a series coming organically from you. So just here as a first mini start, I congratulate you for focusing on your healthy boundaries, because being overly compassionate with others, there is the danger that the amount of love you give yourself is drained out or too small compared to the compassion you give others. So test, for example, this 5-step compassion exercise and put your attention on yourself, so that you connect deeply, deeply within yourself, because it's much easier to put boundaries up against toxic people, dangerous people, mean people, when we are connected with the love and the respect and the sense of dignity for ourselves. So that's one aspect of answer. The other one is always in the patriarchy often creates this kind of, I call it a soup in our mind, where we mix everything together, like love and boundaries and agreeing or fighting against a person. For me, always a good exercise is to literally take a piece of paper and separate these different things, like literally writing down, I love so-and-so, and yet this person has this behavior, and that behavior is for me toxic or painful. So I'm setting here about, so these are all different things. You can love a person, and that person can still be, to be straight, an asshole, but you still love that person, and you can build healthy boundaries between you and that person. All these things are possible, and sometimes our brain needs help to differentiate them, and I use literally piece of paper and pen to physically write them down, or draw even boxes which don't touch, to realize this is not the same. And also the patriarchy, because it's stuck in this binary code of yes or no, black and white, as if there are always only two options, which is also another topic. There are always more options than the two contrasting one. So not loving one doesn't mean automatically that you hate someone. These are two different things. But in the patriarchy, it's so often connected. Or setting boundaries doesn't mean automatically I love someone else less. It might just mean that I know what I need and I love myself enough to protect myself. So this is why I set a boundary. So be very careful to not allow the external voices and stories to muddle up things which are very good and clear and can exist side by side. Marilena had to leave. Thanks to you all for this wonderful session. Wonderful. Excellent. Thank you, Liz. So from what you others heard here, Wanda, Tasha, and Linda, and Liz, you too, you mentioned several important aspects. What calls you as our next step for next week? You have now been here the longest, you 5 can determine what we talk about next week. What is the open next question from our conversation today? Linda, yes?
Oh, I don't, boy, it was a great session today. I don't know, anybody else?
I will go through the chat box. If nothing comes to your mind right now, I feel my energy dropping a bit, so I will go through the chat box. And if any one of you have an afterthought, you all are connected with me through email and social media. I would love to finish our training session here, to give the space to, because it helps also viewers who are not yet connected with us to become aware of their takeaways when they watch the replay. What is the key golden nugget insight shift you are taking from today's session? If you can't speak out loud, you can type it in the chat box, but I would love to hear briefly, if even possible, from everyone. Linda, yes, please tell us.
The number one thing, and there was a lot, but you have to learn how to not judge. Not judge is the big word.
Yes. It was Krishnamurti whose quote I read in my early 20s, which rocked me. It's if I would look back to my life, I have nearly for every 5 years or so one quote which changed my life. And in my early 20s, it was one from Krishnamurti who said, and that was, you have to think about me, I was completely in my head. I was disconnected from my body. I was disconnected from my heart. I was disconnected from my emotions. I was an academic, book-eating super nerd. So I lived in my mind. I was completely all about intellectual knowledge, and the rest didn't exist for me in my early 20s. And then I read this quote from Krishnamurti who said, the highest form of human intelligence is to observe without judgment.
Wow.
I will say it again, because this was like a hammer on my head. The highest form of human intelligence is to observe without judgment. Oh my God. That definition of intelligence has literally changed my life, my university studies, my brain. I dove into researching different meditation techniques. From that, reading that quote on, I committed my life. I mean, I'm committed to a lot of things, but one big commitment was to learn and train physiologically my brain how to observe without judgment. And now I can.
What was the name of the person again? Because it's a
Krishnamurti. Let me see if I can spell it quick. Krishnamurti. I'm putting it in the chat box. Oops, I made a misspelling. No I before the T. Krishnamurti.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, he's a philosopher, he's a spiritual teacher. He has a ton of, when you Google him, quotes Krishnamurti, you find a ton of great quotes. So yes, and maybe learning not to judge, maybe that could be good training for next week.
That would be.
Like an exercise, how to do that. Okay. Who next? Who would wonder, what are you taking from today?
I'm taking what I said. I haven't felt neutral for a long, long time. But when that came out of me, I thought, well, what do you mean? I could still see his face next door. And, that face is not neutral, but for some reason, I don't care. It's like he is who he is. And I could put in my mind, rather than having him be next door, I just shifted him down the street to the next block. And that way he's neutral. He's in the neighborhood, and hey, hi, John. That's it. but it doesn't have to be the next door. I could shift this wonderful neighbor named Joe. My God, the best neighbor. I'm going to vote. I'm going to nominate him as the neighbor. I'm going to get, if there were a Pulitzer Prize for a neighbor, this Joe, 3 doors down. I'm going to shift him to next door in my mind, and look at all the wonderful things. So that's what I mean. The neutral, I think neutral is very good. And I thought neutral would be bland and nothing, but it's not.
Neutral is an amazing state of energetic. It's an energetical state where we are free of attraction and free of aversion. One of my mentors called that the wizard gate, where your attention is free to create because you are neither attracted nor repelled or aversed. And so for me, it's a sacred inner state, the state of neutrality. So thank you, Wanda, for underlying that and pointing that out, especially for those of you here watching the replay on YouTube. Start your own research. Where in your life do you experience true neutrality in yourself as a state where you are neither attracted to something, but also not repelled, pushed away from something? Because in that neutral spot is one of the most, I'm all about your empowerment. This neutral, energetic neutral spot is your most powerful spot to be in order to create whatever you want in life. So that's another big topic, but this is today a rich meeting here. We are nearly at 90 minutes, Mark. So last but not least, Tasha, can you unmute yourself and say something what you take, and then Liz, and then we finish here today. Tasha, can you join us again for a moment or not? Just giving you here. Tasha, you're still muted. Then I go to Liz. Liz, my dear, what are you taking today from our community empowerment training?
It's been very validating, but I do think for me, it needs more exploring, like I said, with the boundaries. But when you said love yourself enough and observe yourself, that was huge, because I realize I'm in a judging state of myself right now.
Oh, yeah. I want to send you a virtual hug, sweetheart, because self-judgments have often this nasty effect to be more sticky than the judgments onto others, because it's so close. Yeah, so Liz, I send you lots of love and compassion and kindness for yourself. Yes.
Thank you.
I love you. I'm grateful that you are in my community and that you are so loyal. And I mean, you are a leader who is so honest. And this is for all, everyone here. I cherish honesty as one of the biggest, most important leadership traits, because without honesty, I believe we can't transform ourselves and grow. And you, Liz, you are one of the most honest people I know. So thank you for showing up this way. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tasha, last chance, if you can unmute yourself. If not, I will close us out here. Thank you again here. Here you are. Tasha, what's your golden nugget you take from today?
Actually, you know what? I was thinking about what she was saying about how, she was judging herself and stuff. And I was thinking that all of us, we kind of do that. It's almost, sometimes we try to beat people to the punch, and in hopes that we can regain our acceptance. But we just need to forgive ourselves, because we did our best with regard to who we are and what we have been experiencing. We're honestly trying our best all the time, and yet we're in a situation in life where there are challenges, because sometimes we have things to do that require more of us.
Yes. Yes. Beautiful.
And sometimes you have to change, and nobody likes to change. We get comfortable sometimes.
Yeah. I think, Tasha, combined with Linda, you gave us the topic for next week, and it fits to what all of you said. Learning not to judge, and I will train you all using self-judgment as a training example. What about that? Would that serve you to, in principle, to learn neurophysiologically, how do we get out of judging others? And instead of others, we use ourselves as the other. Because when we judge ourselves, we are splitting ourselves into people, the subject who judges and the object who gets judged. So is that a good topic? How to raise, according to Krishnamurti, our intelligence by being able to observe ourselves without judgment. And we will do a bit of training around that next week. And I will do my best to stick to the hour. Today we went 90 minutes. This is not the goal. So, thank you for showing up here. Please
Thank you,
stay
Sylvia.
2 seconds after I finish here the recording. Just a final words here to everyone who also sees the replay on YouTube. If you want to join us live, because there is a magic about being live here, of feeling the group energy, of being able to ask questions, of being able to share and get micro coaching, and then to even determine the next topic. If you want to join us live, there is the link below the video, and I'm saying it here as well. It's a Juicy Life Leader, one long word, juicyLifeLeader.com/free training. And that gives you the, with emails, the Zoom link and access to join us here live. Everyone from around the world is welcomed. And please, this is here today. We had John here. It's for women and men. So because we are committed to create a gender partnership-based world that works for everyone. Hello, Da. I can't do this alone. I need you, and you. You matter. You matter deeply to me. So thank you for showing up, for learning and growing here together in our community empowerment training. Bye.
Bye, Sylvia.
Bye-bye.